Hey everybody, today we are talking about Peach Cobbler Murder, the book version versus the adaptation. If you would like to read the book or watch the movie, this is movie number 3 if you're wanting to go in order with the movies. So you'll probably want to watch the other 2 first, which I've also done reviews on. But if you want to go in spoiler free, then obviously watch them before you watch this. So this book is, I think, book 7 in the Joanne Fluke, Hannah Swenson murder mysteries timeline. And in the movie version, it is number 3. So because of this, there's going to be some differences right off the bat. One of them being that Hannah's sister, Andrea, is pregnant in the movie, whereas in the book, she already had that child for several years. And so that is a little bit different. Another thing is that Hannah and her 2 men, Norman and Mike, are getting a lot closer in the books, and they are still not super close in the movies. In fact, I don't even remember if she kisses them both in this movie. But anyway, the story of Peach Cobbler Murder is that there is a new bakery in town that's right across the street from her, and it is very popular for its peach cobbler. It's Minnesota Southern peach cobbler. Hannah is losing business a little bit because people are going over there to try out the new bakery, to try and be a little supportive in that way, or to just test it out and see if it's as good as Hannah's, so that they can come back to Hannah and say, oh, it's not as good, so we'll stay here at your place. The problem with this is that because they're doing that, though, she is losing money, and to the point where she's a little nervous about being able to stay open, which is understandable because she is only running this shop with one other person helping her, and if people stop coming in to buy her products, she's gonna lose a lot of money to continue to make those cookies to sell. The person who is across the street running this bakery is named Shauna Lee in the books. I don't know why, but they changed the name in the movies for her to be named Melanie. But in the books, her name's Shauna Lee, and it's Shauna Lee's bakery, and she knew Mike previously before moving here and really wants to get closer to him again. And so Hannah automatically starts feeling a little bit of jealousy about this, which I guess is understandable, but also it's not like they're together officially, you know, and there's also Norman. So I feel like she doesn't really have that much reason to be upset about this, but she does see Mike leaving really late at night from Shauna Lee's, and so she can only assume that they are doing something together. And in the movie version, she does see Melanie give Mike a kiss on his way out of the shop, and so she does notice that there is this possibly an attraction between them, maybe a spark happening. She doesn't know, but she doesn't like it. The movie gets right into it. Immediately she is trying her skills to make a peach cobbler, which she's never done before, but she is going to try, and then they're going to do a taste test to see if hers is better than Melanie's. And so when they do that, it turns out that, of course, hers ends up being the best, and it's because Melanie's is just store-bought in the frozen section. She doesn't even bake it herself. So they find out that she's a fraud, she's not even a baker, and this causes Hannah to feel kind of bad, but also kind of good at the same time, because she knows that she can keep her loyal customers with her because she makes her stuff homemade, and it's naturally going to be better than what they're doing over at the other bakery. So in the movie, she does find this out, and she goes over and she does tell Melanie what she knows, and Melanie gets really upset, and she tries to make her own, and it just doesn't work. And so Hannah's trying to help her, but then there's this wedding that everybody needs to get to, the mayor's daughter's wedding. And so she leaves while Melanie is finishing up the cooking of she's baking the peach cobblers for the wedding reception to bring over to the wedding. And so Hannah leaves so she can go to the wedding. She's a little bit late, but they start late, so she ends up getting there without missing anything. And then on her way back from the wedding, hours later, Melanie never shows up with the cobblers, so she assumes like, oh, probably just didn't work out after all. So she goes to put some stuff away in her shop, and she notices that the lights are on, and at Melanie's shop. So she goes over to say, hey, I just wanted to make sure everything's good in here, your door is open, your lights are on. And she continues to walk in and finds Melanie on the floor dead, shot in the back. And so this is where, like, minutes later, or like seconds later, Mike comes in and sees the situation, and he's like, don't move, and we need to assess the situation. So then Hannah, of course, becomes one of the prime suspects because she has motive to get this baker out out of the picture, so that she doesn't have to worry about her anymore and losing profits or anything. So because of this, that is very much the same as the book. She is having to be very careful and going into the police station, telling her statements. Her alibi isn't super great because there's still enough time before she gets to the wedding, since she got there late. It kind of makes it seem like she could have been the one to do it. And so they have to follow through with the investigation of her being a suspect and all that. So those things are following pretty well with the book versus the movie. Really, the only things that I noticed that were different was the name change. At the ending of the book, both Mike and Norman on the same night approach Hannah and essentially propose to her and say that they should get married. And so then Hannah's left with this dilemma of choosing. She doesn't answer at the end of that book. She does not give them an answer. And so we have to wait till the next book to figure out what she ends up doing. And if you've watched my other baking reviews, you will know what she ends up doing. Because this happens in like the 7th book, but this is only the 3rd movie, they scrap all of that. They just have like a dinner together at the end or something. Or maybe that's the other book. But the ending basically just ends up with her not getting proposed to at all, and nothing gets pushed forward with either of the men. Norman is kind of in the background with this one. He has like a broken arm and stuff, so when he tries to help her with her sleuthing, he can't be much help. Mike is more in it because he had to arrest her and all that stuff, and talk to her about like, well, you're a suspect, you need to stay out of this, blah blah. And so he's a little bit more involved in this one than Norman is. But again, neither of them are chosen, or neither of them propose to her at the end. So that's like the main difference between the two. And the murderer is still the same person. Basically, they both are fine on their own. I think that, if you didn't read the book, then this movie's still going to make a lot of sense. It's still going to work just fine in the timeline of what the movies are doing. If you want to watch this is on Hallmark, and yes, it does have its, kind of like cheesy music. Like they have their own kind of like theme song for this, and it's kind of just like ba 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 yeah. And so it's kind of like that super lighthearted la 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 kind of like music. The acting's pretty good, I think. Sometimes there are some characters that I feel like it's a little like meh, pushed or forced sometimes, or a little disingenuous. But for the most part, the characters do a really good job at doing their roles from the book. I think they do a pretty good job. And and just knowing that, reading the books and then watching the movies, I think I appreciate the movies more because I have this background information from reading the books, and so I'm already kind of familiar with the story versus just picking a movie at random and watching it and being like, oh, that was super cheesy. These ones aren't, too bad in my opinion in terms of that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.